A text with no words as opposed to a written format can be equally expressive due to the composer's use of multimodal techniques such as visual imagery and its techniques including abstract imagery and color, visual imagery and graphic design. Graphic novels are a perfect vehicle for representing the migrant experience of alienation which is observed in The Arrival by Shaun Tan. Tan utilizes a large array of imagery that represents the familiar and the alien which refers to the surroundings in the foreign land. The idea of alienation in the graphic novel is presented through the male protagonist who is migrating to another nation in search of a better life and leaving his family behind. The alienation is conveyed in the imagery through the journey of the protagonist. An example of alienation is observed in the first chapter, where the protagonist detaches himself from the familiar yet dark and haunted atmosphere of his homeland, resulting in the leaving of his family to find a better home. Moreover, in Chapter 2, it shows the estranged move leading to the entrance in a newly found home, trying to adapt to the new nature that surrounds him. The language that surrounded him on page 39 shows an indecipherable alphabet that is not familiar to the protagonist, which represents the confusion of the foreign language alienating him through a communication barrier. Moreover, Tan instead tells his story through facial expressions, implied interactions between characters through a mixture of visual context and body language and empowering imagery. The work captures the alienating and strangeness of an immigrant's experience when first arriving with ingenious use of the fantasy social environment and the use of a minute color scheme and the landscape, which is simultaneously familiar and surreal, to create an imagined city whose inhabitants are marked by some kind of overarching threat that may be oppressive. The visual imagery of the infestation of monsters, seen as black serpents throughout the chapters 1 to 3, symbolizes an oppressive and apparent danger. The imagery represents the feeling of something threatening and dangerous, also the uncertainty of unknown future possibilities. This surreal imagery of a serpent allows the reader to feel isolated, similar to that of a migrant, which represents an expression of a universal experience of all migrants or those people marginalized. The multimodal text of The Arrival by Shaun Tan, when thoroughly examined, represents the idea of a migrant experience through the use of techniques and themes such as aforementioned alienation, which allows the graphic novel to have an impact on the audience to create a simulation on the surreality and familiar and unfamiliar of those different cultures with distant relations.